the Grant. Looks like another Rustoration type job. It's got all the Australian mods. I did a lot of testing and trialling for amphibious assaults because we thought we were going to be using these Grants in amphibious attacks on retaking Malaya and Singapore and then onto the mainland of Japan itself. It looks like there was a actual tank name there, FIRE, and there was that double L. Did it say Hellfire? But could have, because it would have been a headquarters squadron vehicle if it started with H. Looking at this here circle is a C squadron marking. I think I can see a triangle there as well. So this was an A squadron at some stage, and sometimes you can even see a B squadron square. This is interesting. It's quite unique to this tank. These straps welded on here. I reckon I've found a photo of this particular tank back in the day. Grouser racks here for the track grousers to give you more grip. This is a 30 cal tripod mount. That's the outlet for the headlight, which needs another bracket. Another 30 cal tripod went here. That was the spade grip of the Matic. The rest of it's missing. Not sure what that or that mount is for. And there's always something up there that's I can never work out what it's for. I'm not an expert by any means. And there's a rain guard, another addition for tropical type climate. Stop rain pouring in through the driver's hatch. And there's normally one on top of the gunner's periscope as well. These holders here stow the tow cable, usually one down each side, went all the way down through all these loops. That number up there is just part of the manufacturing process where they numbered plates with a lead-based paint, which seems to survive well. Mounts here where they stowed their track pullers. I think another upgrade is this guard. Goes around below the turret. That's another Australian mod there, so they can be lifted onto ships. Tow hitch on the back of this deflector wasn't for towing other tanks. They would tow their own ammunition trailers on hitch back there. That funny shaped mount there is for spare suspension components. The piece that goes in there is that cast piece there, which holds the two springs. And yeah, hence why it's shaped the way it is, because of the funny shape of this thing. This has got the heavy duty suspension fitted, as all the upgraded Grants had. They did tests at the time and found that the top armour could be penetrated by a satchel charge, so that just this wire mesh with its standoff protection of that height deflected the blast and made it a lot more protective. A lot of these kits were made for conversion of M3A5 and M3A3 Grants back in the day. A lot of effort was put into wiring up these frames, making the frames to suit and hinged so it would open with the loader's hatch there. There's the rear stowage bins. Notice how the one on the left is high and the one on the right is low. That's so that you can remove this rear plate here, and that's where you withdraw the 75mm barrel out through the opening and above the lower bin there, so that you can do a barrel change. I reckon they're a well designed tank. I reckon they're cool. But here's the interior. It's pretty complete actually. For an old wreck, you don't find them like this anymore. In the driver's position, there's his hand throttles for each engine, and I think they shut off the engine as well. You lift them right up. I think that might be the lockout for the clutch. I'm not sure exactly how all this works because I've never actually had a Grant that has all that in there working, so yeah, it's all I've got to learn myself. Well, this has got the serial numbers still on it. How rare is that? So yeah, I don't know if you can read that there. It's a bit dark for me and I haven't got my reading glasses on, but that'll have the serial number of the tank and the date that it was built and where it was built. We thought we were going to be fighting in the outback of Australia in these things, so there was a extra water for the crew was carried. There's the mount for the Thompson there, and the magazines were normally down underneath it, but for some reason this particular tank they've been moved up to here, so that's quite unique. 37mm ammo bin there, and this 75mm ammo bin is another upgrade for the Australian Grants. Normally there was an extra 37mm ammo bin there, but they took that out, made this armoured bin up. That's armour. You can't drill it. It's hardened with a closing door, and the 75mm ammo was stored in there in the shipping tubes. And then once the loader, who stood here, removed them during a lull in the battle or whatever, or when they're resupplying, restocking, he'd take out the ammo, take it out of their shipping tubes into here. So this was the ready round bin. They'd pull them out of here and straight into the back of the 75. That's an interesting spot for a fire extinguisher. They're normally mounted down here on that funny little angle there beside the driver, but for this particular tank, again unique, it's got the fire extinguisher mounted up here beside the gunner. So the spare periscope for the gunner is in this box down here. The one he uses is up here in the periscope mount. It's a periscope with a little telescope clips inside it. Interestingly, those little telescopes are hard to find because they were all bought up by Star Wars. If you have a look at their stormtroopers' guns, the sight on top is actually one of these little telescope units that fitted into the side of the periscope. But that's quite interesting. That was the electric fire button in the middle of the traverse wheel. Yeah, there's the electric solenoid there, but if the electrics fail, a manual fire button was there. So it's going to the same thing with a manual lead. So that's still there, which is interesting. So there's another Thompson machine gun mount, and I don't know where the magazines are for that. Might be in here maybe. Maybe that's magazines went in there. Not sure. And that hook there would be for the headset for the loader. And the loader was responsible for monitoring the fuel. And there's the fuel gauges there, left and right. And his switch was there, left and right tank, and he could read what was in each tank. And in this hole here was the fuel tap, so he could move it from left to right or draw from both. Up here was another freshwater jerry can mount made out of wood, so the jerry can didn't vibrate against the steel. And there's the strap to hold the freshwater jerry can in. More 37mm rounds around the back of the hole here, down the side. These boxes here are for the protectoscopes, the little perspex prisms that go into the pistol port. These little wire clips up here, usually for the cleaning rods to be stowed on. There should be another one here. This is a bin shaped to go around the turret basket here for gun cleaning apparatus. That's the mounts for the two-stroke generator, which would charge the batteries when the engine's not running. In cold climates actually provided heat as well, but we wouldn't have needed that in the outback of Australia. This is the pull cords for the external fire extinguishers. They go through to the outside. The leads would go down through a mechanism here to two bottles stowed there, and the nozzle system would come through into the engine bay to put out any fire. Hopefully when a round hits the outside of a tank, it would also break off the heads of rivets and throw them around at the speed of a bullet. A lot of the later M3 series Grants had the rivets stainless welded around each one to stop them breaking off. This particular tank doesn't have stainless welded rivets on the inside. All very interesting. Looks like I've got a few weeks of work ahead of me. Can't wait! First off, none of these work. Yep. Can't move it a millimetre. A bit of heat on these hinges is required. Something's happening. Well, I'll try and take this off to save it. Although it is damaged anyway, it's quite unusable, but it may be a good piece to make a pattern up. So that's the fibre board coming out. This stuff looks like asbestos, but it's not. It's a wood fibre board and it burns. Someone wrote that on there back in 1940, and it'll be long dead now. So I'm unlocking a little pin that goes into locator in there, which locks the locking mechanism in the open position, so that if you slam the door shut, it's not going to bend the locking mechanism. It holds it back in the open position. I need it to be unlocked so that I can start freeing up the mechanism. Sometimes you got to just lube it up with oil and CRC so that the CRC thins the oil and it penetrates, and leave it overnight. There you go, it's moving now. There you go. Yeah, that's all freed up nicely. Woohoo! Just needs a bit more lube and cleaning up. So I've got both doors to open and shut, but still too difficult by hand. I'm just going to leave them in the open position and keep soaking the hinges in oil, and hopefully it'll eventually penetrate and make them usable. Now, I've got to be careful heating them up too much as well, because they've got an anti-vibration rubber type that burns, and you can mess them up and actually make them even more harder to work. I need to get onto something else. Looks like the wheel down there is devoid of rubber. That'll need replacing, no doubt. One wheel changed.
And trust me, if my barbecue skills can't heat up your backyard, these dear economic warehouse. Multiple items in this roll. Please be applied pizza better.
I don't know if I'm grabbing it or not, can't see it. There it is. Couple of much better wheels. Much better than what was on there, that's for sure. And here's the turret. It's quite interesting. You can see this turret was left laying on the ground upside down, and you can see from there up it was all rusty, including the hatches. They were rusted completely away. There was only one on it, and it was less than half of it thickness left on the inside because it was upside down. Very rusty on the roof, which was exposed to the weather and had water sitting in it. But just the fact that we got a turret is amazing, because they are so rare to find. Look at that, rusted, nearly rusted away completely. That one's got completely gone. The head of that one's nearly gone, and then where the dirt ended, it's back to good condition again. So this spent many years upside down. No doubt what they did, the farmers, they unbolted or oxy cut off everything attaching the turret to the hull, used another tank if they had it, or their tractor, and just pulled the turret off, and it just fell upside down onto the ground, and that's where it stayed for the next 25, 30, 40 years, until they either sent them to scrap, or some lucky guy come across it who's a restorer and saved it from the scrappy. This is where the hinges should be, and they're just gone. These little moon-shaped pieces are the back part of the hatch. You're going to have to take them off and clean underneath. I'm in the process of trying to buy up the bolts that hold all them down. Yay! Look at all that rust there that was expanding underneath and lifting it up. So yeah, it needed to come off, and we'll have to make new ones. I'll work on this next one now, see if I can get it off. So there's all of the expanding rust underneath those components. Would have been a lot of pressure lifting up on them. can't get it past that lip. Just. There we go, something's happening. Woohoo! Hey, something's happening already. The only problem with putting lube on it makes this slip off a lot easier. I've wrecked my vice grips. Wondering what these are. They hold the two-piece. That's gone hard. It's cooled down. They hold the two-piece hatch in the vertical position, so you can close the hatches, because if they weren't there, you'd shut one hatch and then you wouldn't be able to get out that half to pull the other half over because it's too small. They're bloody heavy. They're not spring assisted, but they also double as holding them vertical for a bit of side protection for snipers and whatnot. Let's see if I can undo some of welding nuts on. This one feels pretty good. Seem to undo alright. I reckon these ones will undo alright. That felt good when I broke them. But because these holes don't go all the way through. Well, no problem then. This little mongrel. And now it's getting easy. Beautiful. Alright. What is it? 7 out of the 8. I'm happy with that.
No, Ronald. I don't think you are happy with that. Use the power of your OCD, Ronald. Get that bolt out.
I'm going to have one more go at this.
What are we working on, young Ron?
Trying to get this last bolt out.
It's always the last one, isn't it?
Yes, always the last one. Why is that? How's that?
Yeah, there we go.
I think you were the luck, Jason.
That's it. Yeah, I should have touched it for you.
Only your presence is the luck. There you go. 8 out of 8. Woo! Never give up. Seriously, what could be more fun than this on a public holiday? Workshop to myself, needle gunning the rust out of a Grant Tank hull.